a 1-1 draw. I know, sounds pretty routine, right? Maybe even a little bit dull, but what if I told you that this specific draw was one of the absolute wildest finishes of the entire season? So let's break down how this whole thing went down. For 90 straight minutes, this was pretty much the story. A classic, hard-fought stalemate. Both teams were battling, but neither one could find the back of the net. And then, bam, just 4 minutes later, the final whistle blows. And the score is this. 2 goals in the absolute dying moments of the game. A total explosion of action that came out of nowhere. So how does a game that was a total stalemate suddenly explode into this heart-stopping finale like that? Well, believe me, the story is about so much more than just a couple of late goals. Okay, so to really get why that ending was so nuts, you've got to understand the pure frustration of the first 90 minutes. This wasn't just Toluca versus Atlas. It felt like both teams were fighting against, well, physics. For almost the entire match, the main characters weren't the big-name strikers. Nope, it was the keepers and the unforgiving woodwork that just refused to play along. You could literally feel the tension building with every single tick of the clock. So on one end, you've got Atlas's keeper, Camilo Vargas, just flying through the air, making these unbelievable saves. And then at the other end, Toluca's Luis Garcia, just as brilliant, getting his fingertips to this absolute bullet of a header and pushing it onto the bar. I mean, it was a total masterclass from both of them. And hey, when the keepers were beaten, the woodwork decided to join the party. 25 minutes in, clang off the crossbar. Then at 43 minutes, thud off the post. You think it's over? Nope. 57 minutes, another post. And then, just to rub it in, at 80 minutes, the crossbar again. I mean, can you imagine? 4 separate times that sound of the balls smacking against metal just rings out. The sheer pull-your-hair-out frustration must have been off the charts. But look, beyond all that action on the field, there were these really powerful human stories playing out, which gave this whole match a much deeper, much more emotional feel. Before the game even kicked off, we saw this simple, powerful message, Fuerza Marcel, which means stay strong, Marcel. And this was for their teammate Marcel Ruiz. He had just suffered this absolutely devastating knee injury, an injury that just tragically ends his dream of playing in the 2026 World Cup. So in this beautiful, kind of heartbreaking show of solidarity, his teammates all warmed up wearing his number. And the fans, they chanted his name right at the 14-minute mark. Just incredible stuff. And on the flip side of that heartbreak, there was this amazing story of hope. Toluca's captain, Alexis Vega, was making his very first start after being out for 3 long months battling his own injury. His return was just this massive emotional lift for the whole stadium. So you've got all this physical tension from hitting the post, all this raw emotion bubbling up, and it's all bottled up for 90 minutes. And then it just completely exploded in those final unbelievable moments. Okay, 2 minutes into stoppage time, it finally happens. A substitute, Jesús Angulo, scores for Toluca. The place goes absolutely wild. They've done it. They've stolen the win right at the end. But hold on. Just 2 minutes later, with literally seconds left on the clock, another sub, Víctor Ríos for Atlas, just unleashes an absolute rocket from way outside the box. It flies into the back of the net. Goal! No way! Atlas has tied it up at the last possible second. I mean, talk about whiplash, from pure joy to agony for Toluca, and just total disbelief for everyone else watching. So in a game that was just packed with near misses and high drama, one player who came off the bench, he managed to write his own complete story. So who's the real hero of this crazy match? Well, it has to be that Atlas substitute, Víctor Ríos. And believe me, it wasn't just because of that jaw-dropping last-second goal. His impact was just huge. Okay, first, back at the 80-minute mark, way before his goal, he makes this heroic, desperate clearance right off his own goal line. He denies a sure thing for Toluca, so he saves a goal. And then, just about 14 minutes later, he's the one who scores that incredible equalizer. I mean, he single-handedly kept his team alive on defense, and then he's the one who rescued the point on offense. Unreal. Just think about that for a second. The guy comes on as a sub and completely flips the script. He was the ultimate game changer, delivering 2 of the most critical plays of the entire game, one at each end of the field. Which kind of leaves us with this final thought, right? Soccer is without a doubt the ultimate team sport. But after 90 minutes of pure frustration, heartbreak, and hope, this one game was the perfect reminder of how, in the most chaotic moments, one single person can rise up and become both the savior and the hero. And it's that chaos, that human drama, well, that's what makes this sport so beautiful.